and welcome to Confession Corner. Let's go. Oh, I just love Confession Corners, you guys, and it's been a minute. I haven't had anything to confess. This is more of, I don't know, my own personal celebration that I'm sharing with you, I suppose, but as the title suggests, I have went now over 100 days without consuming alcohol. And that feels really freaking good to say, to be honest with you. And my intention actually at this point, I don't know what this looks like for me. I had the intention to not drink for 30 days. This kind of like started after Thanksgiving. I was like, yeah, I just don't want to, I knew I didn't want to do the dry January thing. I'm not all about like hopping on the trend train. So I was like, I'm going to just do this now and see how it goes. And honestly, I was like, that means you're going to be sober on Christmas. That means you're going to be sober on New Year's. And that felt like big to me because let's be honest, I don't think I've been sober over a holiday probably in, 20 plus years. Because there's always a reason to like celebrate and have a cocktail, right? So I went my 30 days and I was like, I feel awesome. I'm going to keep going. And then I went 60 days and I was like, I feel awesome. I'm going to keep going. And then I've really honed in on, you know what? I have had this love-hate relationship with alcohol for an extended period of time now, and really the last few years, you can ask my close circle of friends. I have had this conversation, over and over again. And just deciding if alcohol still has a place in my life at this point. And the further I've gotten into this streak of sobriety, I have definitely I want to keep it going. I feel good. It doesn't feel nearly as big of a deal as it did prior to me deciding to not have another sip of alcohol for a while. And so my goal has been now that I'm in it is I'm going to go 6 months and I'm going to see how I feel. And I am going to do a podcast on it. Possibly a podcast series. I'm actually going to drop this on my stories. I'm going to see how this episode does. Maybe ask you guys some questions about your relationship with alcohol and kind of go from there. But because this has been such a thing for me, reevaluating my relationship with alcohol, I deserve that I think it deserves a place on my platform. And so you can expect that from me in another couple of months is some sort of podcasts on alcohol. But I had my women's group last night and one of our participants was sharing that she hasn't drank since, or has, barely drank, I suppose, since mid-December. And she feels great. And the comment that she shared is that suddenly it doesn't feel like a big deal. It doesn't feel like that big of a deal to not drink. And I have to be honest, 100 days in, I just went on my first girls trip. I made it through all the holidays. I made it through my birthday. I can honestly say I made it through the Super Bowl. I can honestly say that it just doesn't feel like that big of a deal anymore. And that was not the case leading up to this because I have questioned not drinking and I don't even know. Again, I don't have the answer. Is this the rest of my life? I don't know. Is this 6 months? Is this a year? I don't know. And I'm not putting pressure on it because that feels really good to me right now. But basically, I've drank my entire adult life. I mean, since I was a teenager, and let's be real here. And I have only went the only stints that I've went without alcohol extendedly is when I've been pregnant twice. And then, doing the whole 30 or doing a dry January or a sober October or something like that. I actually have done that pretty often because again, I'm always reevaluating my relationship with alcohol. So this is the first time that I'm just like for funsies, like doing extensive non-drinking, and it hasn't been that big of a deal. And leading up to it, it was such a big deal. And honestly, just like for reference for you, if you were to ask anybody that I have talked to about my alcohol consumption, my relationship with alcohol, and ask them like, does Sarah have a problem with alcohol? Is she a raging alcoholic? They'd be like, absolutely not. Because in theory, I am a quote unquote, what you would consider, what society would consider a normal drinker. And I think for me, what has been underneath the surface is that I understand that it's socially acceptable. Obviously, alcohol is such a huge part of our society, but it hasn't sat right with me internally. I did a episode on depression yesterday. Alcohol is a major depressant, and I find mentally I don't feel as good mentally, emotionally when I'm drinking alcohol. So yeah, this is just kind of like an update, I guess a little teaser for the alcohol series that I'm going to be doing. But really, I want to share with you, I've been kind of like taking little notes of like what, interesting things that have come up, what's changed, what's been better, what hasn't been better that I thought would. Just like a little case study that I'm doing for you and really for me. So yeah, 100+ days, going strong. I'm gonna stay here on the sober train for a while. If you have any thoughts on this conversation at all, I would love to hear them. I would love to hear if you have kind of the same thing, like for whatever reason, you just don't enjoy your relationship with alcohol. I'd love to hear that. Because it is something I'm always navigating, and I want to be sure that the series that I do on alcohol is going to be beneficial for you. So that is today's Confession Corner. Your girl is sober. Alcohol free. So that's that. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, more to come on all of it.